Download the My Hingham app today and report issues and get information on town government with ease. Available on the App Store and Google Play. You can submit service requests or gain information with just a few taps on your phone. Using the My Hingham app puts immediate access to town resources in the palm of your hand, including calendars of meetings and events, agendas for upcoming meetings, building permit filing options, online bill payment options, and info about our boards, committees, departments, and services. For more information, please scan the QR code on your screen.
Good evening. It is 6:02 on March 17th, 2026. This meeting of the Hingham Select Board is called to order. I note that this meeting is being held in person and or remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Act of 2025 and all other applicable laws temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Is anyone recording tonight's meeting? All right, seeing none, I'd note that participating in tonight's meeting are board members Liz Klein, Julie Straley, and myself, William Ramsey, Chair. For those who are willing and able, please stand and face the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. I believe we have one set of minutes to approve this evening. Liz, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes dated March 3rd, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Next item on the agenda is departmental budget requests. We're going to take up the healthcare insurance this evening, so I'll turn it over to Katie.
Great. Art is going to share. So Art is sharing the summary of the healthcare insurance budget for this year. This is the final budget component that we're reviewing this evening prior to reviewing the total budget in aggregate. The reason that we're reviewing this now is that we finally got the guidance from the GIC in terms, which is the healthcare provider for town employees, town retirees, got their guidance in terms of what the premium increases were going to be for fiscal 27. Art, if you don't mind scrolling to the chart at the end, there's just a quick summary of what the expenses look like. So there's two components to this budget, one of which we've reviewed already, which is the OPEB transfer. Just to refresh everybody's memory, that OPEB transfer is just the catch-up payment that we're making under the actuarial plan to fully fund the healthcare liability for retirees. The topic tonight is the line above that, which is the actual healthcare expense that we pay for both our active employees, our retirees, their current portion of it, and any surviving spouses. So the total budget that we're recommending for next year is $9,007,640. That represents a year-over-year increase of 7.1%. The good news is that overall, the GIC plans increased across the system at 8%. Based on Hingham's experience of the 1,187 participants in the GIC plan for the town of Hingham, the overall increase in terms of premiums, as I said, was under the GIC average. The top 5 plans for our enrollees had increases that averaged from 4 to close to 8.5%, which is why we came in under the GIC average overall. So I'll pause there and see if there are any questions. But this is, although the percentage increase is large, obviously relative to some of the other budget items that we reviewed, I think it's worth mentioning that when we started this process and we started discussing the forecast, the original guidance from GIC was 5 to 15%. And so when we started the forecasting process, we actually had taken a very conservative view of 12%, which we walked down to 10, and now we've got some incremental good news through conservative budgeting practices that Hingham follows, that we're actually budgeting at 7.1% increase year over year.
Great, Katie, thank you. Liz, do you have any questions?
Great, no questions. It's good news that it's less than 15. That's for sure, so thank you.
It's all about perspective.
Julie, any questions?
No, I'll just echo what Liz said, that it was scary when we heard the range of 5 to 15%, and when it comes out at this percentage, at 8%, that's good news. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, anything to add?
Not on my end.
Great, all right, thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, excellent. Do any members of the public have any questions about this agenda item? All right, if you could just pull up the Zoom to see.
I've got it up over here.
Okay, oh, thank you. Yeah.
There are no questions.
No questions. Okay. All right, we will next move to agenda item 5, which is a discussion and possible votes on the 2026 annual town meeting warrant articles. We're going to take up 3 articles tonight. And I think we're going to finish. Do we finish everything off tonight? Yeah, we do. So the last 3 we have. So we're going to start this evening with Article V, sale, lease, or conveyance of 86 Central Street. We have Jack Falvey here from the Affordable Housing Trust. Jack, you want to come up and just add to your presentation from, I know you did a pretty detailed presentation last week, but if you want to add to it, I'll certainly give you the opportunity to do so.
Thank you, Bill. Jack Falvey, 18 Martins Cove Road, Chair, Affordable Housing Trust. Good evening. Thanks for having us again. We just did a quick head count. We have a quorum of the Affordable Housing Trust because Julie also sits on the trust, so I need to convene a meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust to continue discussions here today, I think.
Great. So you're convening your meeting?
I am. I'm moving for, I'd ask for a motion to convene the March 17th meeting of the Hingham Affordable Housing Trust at 6:09 p.m.
Fair to say you're adopting the language I read earlier on remote meeting participation?
Yes, thank you.
Great. All right, go ahead. You are.
And second, thank you. All in favor? Jack Falvey's an aye.
Julie Straley, aye.
Thank you.
Great, go ahead. Thank you.
So with that, so members of the Select Board, we made our presentation last week as to the 3 principal reasons why we believe this warrant article should move forward and be considered by the Advisory Committee. I don't think we have anything to add in the affirmative to that. We listened to the concerns raised by various residents last week. We think there are many legitimate concerns. We think they'll be appropriately discussed before the Advisory Committee and can be reflected in the warrant article as presented.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So I spent a lot of time this week, researching this issue. One of the issues that's been raised to me was raised at last week's meeting, was raised over email, was the concern about a potential 40B down the road. So I looked at the case law associated with projects like this, and I'm very confident that a deed restriction can be placed on the property that would restrict a 40B. That was a concern for me. I am very much supportive of the concept. As I said from the beginning, my concerns are about the people that live there, their quality of life, improving their quality of life, ensuring that we ensure that LSA stays within its mission of housing for seniors and those with disabilities. Also, with respect to some of the neighbors' concerns, I looked at this a lot too, and I do appreciate their concerns. I am somebody who has been opposed to projects that are close to me in the downtown area. So I understand it, I get it, very reasonable, and it's good for people to speak up and be involved with the process. But I do believe, and again, I've looked at this as an attorney, that we are able to put restrictions within the RFP that will protect the neighborhood, that will protect the mission of LSA, And given the concept that I'm very much a supporter of, I'm prepared to move forward tonight. But let me see where Liz is at and Julie's at, but I'll turn to you first, Liz.
Well, thank you, Bill, for the additional comments, and thank you, Jack, and the Affordable Housing Trust for being here and all of the work so far. I share your sentiments. I expressed this last week. I am comfortable moving forward with the analysis by AgCom, the RFP constraints, the deed restrictions. Certainly, we want to protect the current residents, as well as protect that housing for, as Bill said, for senior citizens and people with disabilities. So I'm confident that we can do that, and we'll stay close to this process. And this is just one step. This is not a simple process. There are many more steps. So prepared to be as involved as you need, and would like to see this move forward.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Julie?
Thank you. And thanks for coming back, Jack. Nice to see you in person. And thanks to the Affordable
be
Housing
here.
Trust fellow members. Yeah. What I think about with this article is the language where the select board is authorized but not required. And so this is the first step of a multi-year, multi-step process. If town meeting passes this, that there would be working on developing an RFP that could address the concerns, deed restrictions, et cetera, to, number one, protect the current residents and protect the interests of the neighborhood. So I'm confident that we can work on that and work with the residents and the neighbors to work on selection criteria in the RFP process. So I'm comfortable moving forward with this.
Great. I think every year we have warrant articles that require a lot of work by the advisory committee. They're really complex and involved articles. This is going to be one of several this year, but I would encourage the advisory committee liaison to work with John Coughlin to capture, I think, the intent of the board and the intent of what the advisory committee ultimately opines on the article moving forward. I talked to John at length today. I talked to Susan as well earlier this week, and also today, and I think they're ready to assist and to, like I said, capture our intent and what advisory ultimately decides it wants to do too. So with that, I'll open it up for public comment. If you could pull up this, anybody in the room have any questions or comment? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Anybody online?
You've got one, Clark Frazier.
Okay. Clark, good evening. If you could state your name and address.
I got to unmute. Go, Clark Frazier, 50 Bonnie Briar Circle, Hingham. I just have one observation. I wouldn't vote for something like this unless there's a provision that the final transaction, whatever it is, has to come back to town meeting. I was shocked to find out, because I was, in Boston for many years, the projects we thought were perpetual, that were limited income. After 40 years, some of them have turned into student dormitories and have been sold off. That typically what the federal government was doing ended in 40 years. And then there's a case of the Back Bay deed restrictions, which ended after 100 years. So how do you know that you can actually put this in the hands of someone else and not lose control of it eventually? I don't think it's that simple. No, that's I question.
So obviously not everything is an absolute, but I do believe, again, in doing my own research and speaking with our council, that there are deed restrictions that would, again, protect the people that are living there, continue to keep it housing for seniors and those with disabilities. And I think we can also craft an RFP that would also address the concerns of the neighbors to the maximum extent possible. But Clark, as always, appreciate your comments. Thank you for speaking up.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize the part that what I'm really concerned about is, I'm not concerned about 40B per se. What I'm concerned about is that we need to have a permanent solution that works for seniors in this town. There's not enough. The amount of senior housing is decreasing. We've got a house a couple doors down that a senior could live in. It's going to be torn down and rebuilt, and this is going on one by one. So again, I think it's part of a bigger problem. But anyway, I've expressed my concern, and that's it.
Clark, thank you. Katie, anyone else?
No one else.
Okay, all right. With that, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article V, sale, lease, or conveyance of 86 Central Street.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries unanimously. Jack, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, members of the
You
select
don't
board.
need to adjourn your meeting. You need to adjourn your meeting.
Can I have a motion to adjourn the Port of Housing Trust meeting?
I so move.
Thank you, Bridget. All in favor, second. Pam, all in favor? Bridget?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Jack.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. Next item on the agenda is Article GG, Route 3A project. We have with us JR and Deirdre Anderson. Thank you for joining us. JR, do you want to lead off?
Sure, thank you very much. So we are back on this long journey, longer for Deirdre than for myself. Deirdre is part of the Route 3A task force, and she's going to discuss a little bit of the history of the project. As you can see from the slide, it's a 1.7-mile project that significantly works to improve traffic safety throughout this corridor. There are ancillary benefits as well, including pedestrian and cycling safety accommodations and improving a lot of the, or affecting a lot of the master plan goals of connecting the harbor with downtown and the surrounding neighborhoods. If you want to go to the next slide. So we've got the brief history coming, and then we're going to go through some of the roadway improvements. And Deirdre, if you'd like to take it from here.
Sure. Thank you all for hearing us tonight, and thank you to JR, who has shepherded us through this project for the last several years. But it is exciting to be at this point. We're at a really, really critical point tonight. This project began over a decade ago, when the town looked at reconfiguring the rotary in Hingham Harbor. That was 2009. In 2013 and 14, a group of citizens surrounding Summer Street, in response to a high number of high-injury accidents at Summer Street and Button Cove Road, put together a citizens petition to town meeting for engineering design funds for safety improvements on the 3A Summer Street corridor. And that was approved, and we began work with the town and the state, both with a safety audit and the Massachusetts Planning Authority, who had already done a George Washington Boulevard, Summer Street, Route 3A study. And over the many years now, we've gone back to town meeting twice for additional funds for engineering and design to get us where we are today. Several years ago, in 2025, the project officially left design from the town of Hingham, and our financial commitment to engineering design to be taken over by MassDOT. So this public safety project will be transformative for the north end of Hingham. It addresses many objectives of the master plan, but at the end of the day, will be safer roadway for all who travel it, no matter what mode of transportation. And I am really appreciative of the ongoing support the town has given to this project and the town's people who have supported it. It is a complicated project, and I'm grateful for JR's leadership here. Anything else I missed?
I can take it from there. Thank you. So, as Deirdre mentioned, it's a citizen-led safety improvement project. It achieves multiple master plan goals, activates the harbor, and increases accessibility throughout. So, beginning at the beginning. It's a good place to start. At the Broad Cove Road intersection, you can actually see a handful of the design elements which were constructed this past fall by MBTA. So in coordination on their Patty project, in working with them to get accessible bus stops, they agreed to make this first step and make some improvements specifically related to, and traffic safety improvements specifically related to the Route 3A project. And so they were able to do that piece of work, and you can see that now. Continuing. Here you can see the entrance to the bathing beach. At this location, we've got a road diet, we've got a new bus stop. So we've realigned the shared use path to accommodate bus loading and unloading area. And obviously, the signals will all be upgraded. And we'll still have very efficient and safe access to the bathing beach. Continuing. North Street, again, we're back to a 4-lane through configuration. The important element that's added here is that 5th lane dedicated to turning, which is going to make, for the traffic component, it's going to make travel so much more efficient in that north/westbound direction. The general overview of the inner harbor surrounding these improvements. You can see the meandering multi-use path, meandering shared use path, and upgrades to the parking areas. As you're aware, so many of these elements are going to be blended in with our resiliency project to make it just a comprehensive, refaced element of the town. Traffic safety improvements at the roundabout. As you can see, you will be able to negotiate this intersection as a pedestrian safely. You only have to cross 1 lane of traffic at a time. Minor exceptions on the main thoroughfares where there are 2 lanes, but there's refuge islands that provide safety, so you don't have to cross 4 lanes of traffic at any given time. And the design of the roundabout also slows traffic down. So they're going to be, when you slow down, your perception widens. Whereas if you're driving faster, your perception narrows. Because of that, if you're driving faster, you may not see somebody that is at or approaching a crosswalk, but if you're slowed down and your perception widens, you'll be able to see those people. You'll be more reactive to their presence. A little mock-up that was previously prepared for the roundabout. I'm looking forward to that. Okay. And then, of course, the road diet running up Summer Street as another significant safety element where due to the speed of vehicles and the relative narrowness with no shoulder through a corridor that has a lot of horizontal and vertical curvature, which reduces sight distance, it contributed to several of the crashes. And by constraining that travel and reducing conflict points by having the raised median through there, it's going to make this corridor much safer. So why are we here? And this all goes with the caveat that I'm not an attorney. And so if you're seeking legal advice, you should consult an attorney. But having consulted with town council, we are here because there's land under the care, custody, and control of the select board that is subject to Article 97. So we have begun the process. We've identified the parcels in question, regardless of jurisdiction. And we've gone to, at this point, we've gone to both the Conservation Commission and the trustees of the bathing beach, and they have voted to, provided the article moves forward, to assign their assign parcels under their care, custody, and control to the select board for the select board's future disposition, provided that the work continues forward, provided that the Route 3A project moves forward. So that's why we're here tonight. We've got a potential select board vote. I'll be giving an advisory committee presentation. We had it tentatively on the 19th, but it's now looking like the 24th, according to what I've been told. Identification of Article 97 mitigation. We have been, town staff has been attempting to identify parcels either privately held or held by the town that would be appropriate to provide as mitigation for Article 97. We would still have to negotiate with EEA about exactly how that transpires. So that is a work in progress. We have provided EEA with the updated plans that designate all the areas of Article 97, and we hope to get their feedback in relatively short order so that we know that there's buy-in from EEA. We believe we already have buy-in from MassDOT. And because our council has been working closely with their real estate council as well. Beyond that, we would look for a recommended motion from the advisory committee, possibly the week of April 13th, and then a town meeting vote on the article. Once we move through those pieces, then, and provided that the warrant article passes, the select board would, at that point, be authorized to petition the legislature, to petition the general court. And then it would proceed through their process at that point. So continuing. Like I just mentioned, Conservation Commission and trustees already had their votes. And I kind of covered all this already, so we can kick through. So select board properties. What you're going to see are the Article 97 properties that are held by the select board, or in some cases, the trustees, because I couldn't break those out. But it's the select board and the trustees and a little bit of Concom through these slides. I believe this piece is all select board property, which is really just the side slope of the causeway. And I should note, a lot of these elements are right at the fringe of the property because it happens to directly abut the work that's going on. So the work ends up requiring, whether it's a minor grade adjustment or even just protection for side slope erosion, they'll have to do a little bit of work on the town property. And it's very similar to work that might occur on private properties as well. But that is most of what is occurring here. There's very little taking for permanent roadway uses. So continuing. Again, you see the same kind of thing here. You'll notice that there's a little bit of green right in the middle of that. Where that is occurring, MassDOT holds existing drainage easements. They predate any formal recorded easement. But in the process of doing these types of projects, they've decided that it is appropriate to formalize them at this time. So there will be some permanent drainage easements that are simply identifying existing drainage discharges from the right-of-way. Continuing. And this is now above the Grove as we are actually going south on Otis Street. You can continue down. So this covers the, oh, I did skip the trustees parcel. So down here, we've got the entrance to the boat ramp. Keeping in mind also that right now, the design incorporates some elevation changes, and they have to design and do their permitting based on what the existing conditions are. At the same time, I'm working on our end to affect raising the elevation of the boat ramp parking lot. So there will be a point where those two kind of blend together and the impacts won't be as extreme as are presented here. But for our purposes now, they have to show it this way because that's the existing condition that they're designing to. Then I'm gonna mess everything up for them. Next. So this comes across the boat ramp parcel and then onto Town Wharf proper, and you can see the extension of the shared use path into Town Wharf, crossing over the parking lot that's gonna be redesigned and reconfigured. Continuing. And then this covers the North Street intersection, and you can see again where the shared use path begins meandering towards the water on the east side of that intersection. Next. So why do the colors stop right there? I asked the same question, and that is because the remainder of the parcels in the care, custody, and control of the select board that are represented here are not Article 97 properties. So they do not require the same legislative approval for us to, or for MassDOT with our grant of license to effect work on those properties. Continuing. So I included the additional properties, which would include Barnes Wharf and then the properties associated with Steamboat Wharf as we continue up Summer Street. But again, these are all properties that are within the care, custody, and control of the select board, but they are not Article 97 properties. And I believe that concludes the presentation.
Deirdre, thank you very much. Deirdre, anything else to add?
No?
Great. Is anybody from the task force online that wants to speak? Could you just pull it up to see if anybody?
So we've got Brenda Black, Carol Meyer, Clark Frazier, Dave Anderson, Jen Benham, Joe Kelly, Lonnie Cutler, and Ness Cornetti.
Okay, all right, so it's no more task force. So a couple of things. First of all, thank you to Deirdre and the entire task force, not only for your work, but persevering through this entire, as you said, a decade. Sometimes you talk about a decade and say, wow, that really went by fast. But this project, you cannot say that, not go by fast. Year to year, when are we gonna get the funding from the state so we can move forward? So I'm just thrilled we're at this point that we can start talking about the final pieces to putting this thing on, putting this together and moving forward with it. When we do start it, it's gonna be a little bit of pain, but the end result is going to be beautiful. And it's gonna be such a great feature to our harbor and make everything so much safer. And JR, you jumped in late on this project, obviously, but you've been a great steward for it. And I have total confidence that you'll be a good steward when the hard lifting starts soon there. So thank you to everybody. It's gonna be a fantastic project. I'm excited. We're getting closer and closer to starting it. So Liz, do you have any specific questions?
Thank you. Well, thank you, JR, Deirdre, and the task force. This is obviously an important project. It's been a long time coming, and there are many more complicated steps, but I am confident that it will increase and improve safety, resiliency, access, and just kind of general enjoyment of that whole harbor area. You spoke a little bit about the parking lot and some of the resiliency efforts. Can you just talk about how that's going to be coordinated?
Right, so it's interesting because some of these well, a lot of what is going on is additional coordination between MassDOT and the town, because one of the things that's going to happen is there's going to be a fairly significant amount of fill generated by the MassDOT project. And the town is looking to possibly coordinate some of our resiliency work so that we could directly accept that fill into our project, and it would probably be a cost savings for both projects. So in that sense, now it's challenging because MassDOT has to go through their own procurement process for the job, and the town will have our own procurement process for our work. Now, there are things that MassDOT is building into their specs that will prioritize certain elements of soil going into the town project. So that is one element that's being worked on right now. Another element that is also being coordinated is there may be a medium-term leaseholder for 30 Summer Street. Deirdre had the great idea that maybe it would make a good construction office for MassDOT, and MassDOT agrees. So there are still some things that, and I don't know what the financial benefit to the town is, but if nothing else, it's having an occupant and somebody paying utilities, and we'll see where else that goes. So as we get closer to both projects being in final design and have all the permits in place and actual procurement, we'll be looking closely at scheduling for both projects to make sure that we can work cooperatively to build both of these projects together.
Okay, great, thank you.
Great. Julie?
Thank you. Thank you, JR and Deirdre, for coming in, and to the entire 3A task force. It has been a long road, and literally and figuratively. I love the first slide. It says, from the Lobster Pound to Muzzy's Corner. And like, those are the Hingham landmarks and places, and to think about all the landmarks and places all along the way from one end to the other. This is going to be a significant impact for our town when it's completed. So I like the idea of trying to think up of cost savings to resiliency projects. So sort of having the 3A project help us, and we're helping them. So I think, thank you for looking into those potentials. The 97, the chapter 90, can you just explain to me again, because I'm having a little confusing moment, about you've identified this stretch along 3A and then it ends. So does that, it ends because it's made up of a certain amount of space that is therefore going to be swapped out for another, or exchanged in that
So
97
Article
legislation?
97 it's very specific legislation for land that is dedicated to open space and conservation purposes, or certain recreation purposes. And the select board parcels, such as the mobile station, 30 Summer Street, Barnes Wharf, and Steamboat Wharf, were purchased not for the purpose of conservation, recreation, at least not for explicit purpose of conservation, recreation, or any Article 97 purposes. It would be more like if the town at some point decided to sell our new public safety facility. That is not an open space purpose. It's simply a commercial building at that point. So there would be no restrictions on it. And I only said that one because it's what came to mind.
Get any ideas?
But
It's not for sale.
it's not for sale, ever. But, so that's why the color piece stops. The rest of the properties, though, they're all select board properties that are within your care, custody, and control. And so for that reason, you would still, I believe, vote to move this forward, although we're a little bit more focused on the Article 97 elements at this point.
Okay. And then the total of the area that's shaded represents a certain amount of acreage that you would be looking to find something comparable, or does it not work like that? You're just looking for a comparable value piece somewhere else?
It's more like comparable value. It runs to about 2 acres of total Article 97 land. And it is, it's challenging because how that land is assessed or appraised makes it difficult to find comparable pieces of land. You can't say 2 acres of land that is generally relatively narrow strips along a 1.7 mile corridor is going to have the same value as 2 acres of land that's contiguous, has frontage, or whatever is general, would otherwise be open space anyway. So it is, that's part of the negotiation with the EEA in trying to figure out exactly how we can, because what we anticipate is that we'll probably end up with a smaller value of money than what it would take to acquire the same quantity of land. Now, if we were to identify a town parcel that could be put into conservation or recreation use, then that opens it up a bit more, because as long as the town parcel appraisal exceeds the appraised value of all those strips, then you've probably met the equivalent. And then it becomes a question of whether or not the state will simply pay the town that money. If we're going to donate the land, will the state give us the appraised value?
Okay. And then in terms of the timeline, by the time the advisory committee fully weighs in on a recommended motion, you anticipate that a parcel of land will have been settled upon? When we go to town meeting, will we know? Is that the idea?
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yes.
So I just wanted to add to that, and thank you for all your thoughtful questions. And I also wanted to thank Town Real Estate Counsel Susan Murphy, who's been working really closely with JR through this very complex issue. And I'm sorry, Chair Ramsey, I did want something else to add.
Sure, of course, always.
I'm tuning in, is that, and especially because for the viewers at home and Carol Britton-Meyer, who has covered this case in the news since the beginning as well. She's been on this project. I want the public to understand, the town's, very serious investment of over just about $1 million for engineering design funds. The result is a $30 million roadway project that will be paid certainly with but state and federal funds. So that's sort of a baseline, but these so many complicated issues of getting a roadway project of this scale through, the role of the task force, once we get through this important article, really critical Article 97 vote this at both Hingham's town meeting and with the Massachusetts State Legislature, then we will begin really in so many ways reintroducing the project to new generations of Hingham citizens who have moved in over the last 12 to 15 years, and beginning socialization throughout the spring and summer and fall so that people are aware of what will be a 4-year project. So you're right, Chair Ramsey, there will be many pain points. Nobody likes, I heard a headline once, nobody likes your road safety project. But in the end, I think in the end, we will all look back and say we can't believe we lived with it as we did. So, thank you.
And just one more. Can I just add
Yeah,
one more?
go ahead. Yep.
Sorry. So doing this now and trying to get move quickly on getting the Article 97 legislation together for town meeting and for the legislature. That will keep the project on schedule. The idea is to
Yes.
not let another year slip by.
That is exactly right.
Yeah.
Our current schedule has us advertising the project in February of 2027, which would be prior to our next town meeting. And so if we didn't pass it at this town meeting, they wouldn't be able to actually advertise it because they wouldn't have all of the right-of-way certifications complete.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your efforts to get this going, so thank you.
Great, and to Deirdre's point too, one of the reasons why this has been so long in the process, because we had to rely on the state and federal funding, and at times, when it's a state-funded project of this magnitude, the state will sometimes bump projects based on their schedule, so we had to, it was important for us that we did have those state funding and not increase taxes to do this. So that's one of the reasons why it's been bumped over the years. But Jay, I think the 27 date is pretty firm, correct? Like the state has said, we feel like, okay, you're smiling, all right.
Riding
But
hard
I've been told
on
that it's pretty firm.
But yes, it is.
Okay, let's hope.
We are in the draft tip, we are fully funded for fiscal '27. That's $32.5 million in construction funding. And I'll update Deirdre's numbers a little bit. In addition to the over $800,000 that the town spent on design, MassDOT, in both current contract and anticipated additional expenditures, will have spent an additional $2 million in design. So we're talking about a nearly $35 million investment by MassDOT in this project.
Wow. It's a big number, yeah. Anything else?
No.
Liz?
No other questions.
All right.
Sorry.
It's a state call, they said we're on schedule.
No, they're saying,
Check's in the mail.
Confirmed.
Check is in the mail. Hingham.
FY '27, what? No, just kidding.
Any members of the public have any questions or comments?
There's none.
None. Okay, let's move forward. I would take a motion.
Okay, this is a
Oh, it's a long one,
couple
sorry.
minutes commitment,
Yeah,
so
thank you.
buckle up. I make a motion to recommend that the Select Board does hereby vote to approve the provisions of the town meeting warrant article regarding the Route 3A project in order to grant and/or acquire by gift, purchase, eminent domain, or otherwise, the fee to and/or permanent and temporary easements in, on, under, and over certain parcels of land abutting and/or near Route 3A for the reconstruction, installation, inspection, maintenance, improvement, repair, replacement, and/or relocation of the roadway, rights-of-way, sidewalks, drainage, utilities, driveways, retaining walls, guardrails, slopes, grading, rounding, and landscaping, and other structures, and/or appurtenances to enable the town and/or MassDOT to undertake the Route 3A project and for any and all purposes and uses incidental or related thereto, all as approximately shown on plans entitled Massachusetts Department of Transportation Highway Division Plan and Profile of Route 3A/Summer Street/Rockland Street in the Town of Hingham, Plymouth County Preliminary Right-of-Way Plans, revised 12/19/25, as said plan may be amended from time to time, and further that the Select Board does hereby vote to accept the care, custody, and control of those parcels of land shown on the aforesaid plans from the Conservation Commission and the trustees of the bathing beach as previously voted by said boards, and does hereby vote to transfer the care, custody, and control of those portions of the property interests shown on the aforesaid plans, which are presently under the care, custody, and control of the Select Board, to allow for use for said public way purposes, all of said transfers being made pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 15A, and all other applicable laws for said public way purposes, and contingent upon final approval of an Article 97 petition to be filed pursuant to this warrant article.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your work. Thank you.
Very much.
We're doing favorable action as well.
Oh, yeah, I'll take a second motion as well. Why don't you take this one?
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article GG, Route 3A project.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, everybody. All right. All right, now we move on to Article F, which is the FY '27 budgets. So Tom, I think Katie, can take this one, overview, or kind of put it all together tonight? We've been talking through the budgets for the last couple months, and we're going to vote them today and close them out, hopefully.
Yes. So I am pleased to present to the Select Board final Article 6 for your consideration this evening. It includes budgets for both our general government, our public safety, our education, our public works, our human services, culture and recreation, our enterprise funds, along with debt service, employee benefits, and our property and liability insurance. The grand total of Article 6 is $173,059,838. This represents the cumulative budgets that you've reviewed over the last 6 to 8 weeks, and is a final budget for your approval. I would note at the bottom of the presentation, you'll see that there's a small reconciliation that shows that the municipal budgets do tie to the MOU, which shows a 3.5% increase for all of the municipal town departments. And in the education numbers, it also ties to the MOU, which shows a 3.5% increase.
Excellent, thank you very much. Well, Katie, I know that you put a lot of long hours into this, and you've survived your first budget season. Thank you so much. I know that you worked a lot of hours during the week and on the weekend, so thank you for all your efforts, and you did a fantastic job this year, so thank you for that.
Thank you. It was a great experience working with everybody in the town of Hingham to pull this together. Hopefully next year I'll be a little bit more facile, but it was worth the investment, so.
Excellent. So before we vote the budgets, I want to note just two things for the record. First of all, as I've disclosed earlier, my wife is an elected member of the Recreation Commission. She is an unpaid elected member of that body, which allows me to vote on that budget. I've also disclosed that with the town clerk. Also, she is a trustee of the bathing beach. She's also unpaid volunteer on that body, which allows me to vote on it. My brother, however, is a retired police officer, but he's a special police officer, and at times he is paid through the police budget. So the law requires me to abstain on that matter. So I will recuse myself on that motion. So Liz, I'll turn to you on the police budget. I can vote the balance of the public safety budget, but just not police. So
Okay.
I turn to you on that matter. Okay. All right. We ready to move forward, Julie?
Yeah, will we start with general government, though?
Yeah, and I'll make the motions. If you
Oh,
want.
okay,
And then
great. Okay, I
You
see.
okay with that?
Got it.
All right. All right, let's start with general government. I will accept the motion to recommend a total FY '27 general government budget, which includes select board, human resources, reserve fund, accounting, information technology, assessing, treasurer collector, legal services, town meeting, town clerk, elections, conservation, community planning, land use and development, Bear Cove Park, Town Hall, and GAR Hall in the amount of $7,425,416.
Second.
I think
Do
you
I
so
need to
so
make a motion
so moved.
first?
You-
So moved.
So moved, and you would second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously, and I'll abstain from the next matter.
Okay. I will accept a motion to recommend the FY '27 police budget of $8,913,208.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Bill?
Abstention.
And I'm an aye.
Next, I would accept a motion to recommend a total FY '27 public safety budget, which includes police, which has already been voted on, fire, dispatch services, building, animal control, harbor master, and public safety utilities in the amount of $21,445,224.
It's 454.
Oh, 454, 224, correct.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Education. I will accept a motion to recommend a total FY27 education budget, which includes the school department, in the amount of $73,880,041.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Public Works. I will accept a motion to recommend a total FY27 Public Works budget, which includes the DPW, Highway, Tree and Park, Transfer Station, and Sewer, in the amount of $12,817,359.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Human Services. I will accept a motion to recommend a total FY27 Human Services budget, which includes Health, Center for Active Living, and Veteran Services, in the amount of $1,073,368.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Culture and Recreation. I will accept a motion to recommend a total FY27 Culture and Recreation budget, which includes library, recreation, athletic field maintenance, bathing beach, historic preservation, and celebrations, in the amount of $3,129,887.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Enterprise funds. I will accept a motion to recommend a total FY27 enterprise funds budget, which includes South Shore Country Club and the Weir River Water System, in the amount of $17,784,669.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries. Debt service. I will accept a motion to recommend a total FY27 debt service budget of $13,893,125.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries. Employee benefits. I will accept a motion to recommend a total FY27 employee benefits budget, which includes group insurance, OPEB, contributory retirement, workers' compensation, unemployment, and mandatory Medicare, in the amount of $19,848,370.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries. Unclassified. I will accept a motion to recommend a total FY27 unclassified budget, which includes property and liability insurance, in the amount of $1,753,379.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries. Grand total. I will accept a motion to recommend a total FY27 Article F budget in the amount of $173,059,838.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. And I would accept a motion on Article F budgets.
I'll make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article F budgets.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Motion carries. Congratulations,
job,
Katie.
Katie.
Good job,
Thank you.
Katie. Good job.
Great job.
Good job.
I'd like to just add, Katie, you've gone into the adventures with ClearGov and doing a lot of cleanup work. So on top of getting your arms wrapped around all of the budget and getting the numbers right, just making that whole process work smoother, and it'll pay off dividends for next year. But just wanted to say thank you again for your efforts.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is Agenda Item 7, which is a financial discussion for future capital projects. So the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about capital projects and
Do you
capital.
want to do the forecast update?
Oh, I'm sorry, forecast update. We'll take that next.
Yeah, sorry.
We'll go to, we'll go to Agenda Item 6, which is the FY27 financial forecast update. So I'll turn to Katie for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm pleased to report that the version of the five-year forecast before you tonight is in balance. So at the bottom of the first page, you'll see that under our total sources minus our total uses, that we are now in balance for FY, the forecast for '27 at $0. The changes that happened in this version versus the one you saw in February are a couple. The enterprise fund numbers that are reflected in here are the final ones that include the debt service that was voted on and approved as part of your February borrowings. Those were small and slight changes to those couple budgets. This version also reflects the final capital outlay recommendations, which is the $3,924,547, which is comprised of the capital outlay allocation of $3.6 million, along with a transfer from the Municipal Waterways Fund for a harbor master purchase, along with $74,000 and $74,547 from the Capital Stabilization Fund. And that funds all the projects that we reviewed last meeting, where you got to see just the breadth of all of the requests across all of the departments. The last and most significant change is the one that we discussed at the start of the meeting, is the healthcare. So the healthcare budget, as I had mentioned, we had in this version 2 of the forecast had a healthcare expense number that was based on a 10% year-over-year increase, as I indicated when I was presenting the budget. Now that we have the final GIC premiums for next year and have run that through how our employees are going to be utilizing that, we know that our final expense for healthcare is that $9,007,000. That is a 7.1% increase. By reducing the forecast from 10% down to the 7.1%, that resulted in a savings of $239,000, and that closed our gap. In order to make things balance, I did a small adjustment to the motor vehicles that allowed us to bring it into forecast at exactly $0.
Excellent. Well done. Not only do we have a path to a balanced budget, we actually have a balanced budget. So we
Yes.
are there, and we're there earlier than usual, I think. In most years, we close real quickly. So this is fantastic news, so.
And I think you've mentioned it before, Bill, but I think it's also celebrating another good news in that this is a year where the town does not have to look to excess overlay as a tool to close the gaps of the funds that remain there for future use. That is about a little over $500,000 right now in excess overlay, obviously first to be used for abatements, but any excess could be used to close that gap. And then the tax mitigation stabilization fund, as we've talked about, was funded with $3.5 million, but the balance sits at $3.7 million. So between the combination of excess overlay and tax mitigation, there's a little over $4.2 million that could be used for future years if there were shortfalls that needed to be addressed.
Excellent. I can't think of a year in the past couple of years where we haven't had to use the overlay to close the gap and to get a balanced budget. So this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, Tom?
Yeah, exactly that. This has been a fantastic budget year, in large part because of two major factors. Was last year's Article 4 number was high as we settled a lot of contracts. This year we didn't have that, so that money freed up to work elsewhere in the budget, and our investment income was very high. And those two factors, along with some other realizations during the course of the year, got us to a nice balanced budget in a way that, like Katie said, we still have the revenue levers to pull in future years, should we need to bridge the gap between, as we said back in '24, a potential override in '28, '29, '30. We don't know, but now we have the capacity to get to those out years and not have to do another override right away. So it's just been a fantastic budget process this year.
Great. I was interviewed this morning on WATD, and they generally reach out to the chairs of select boards and do a meeting update on what's on the meeting. And Christine James, who I've known over the years, asked me about the forecast, and she said, "Oh, what's your anticipated override number this spring?" I said, "We don't have an override number this spring." I go, "We're actually going to present a balanced budget tonight." And she said, "I think you're one of just very few towns on the South Shore that either doesn't have a significant gap and is looking at cuts, or is stressed to pass an override this year." So this was really great news, and she's right. I follow what goes on in the South Shore towns. a lot of towns are looking at some deep cuts or at passage of an override, and this was a really good year for a budget, so happy to see this. Any comments or questions?
Yes, well, great work again, Katie and Tom, and really all the department heads. Everyone, I think, worked really hard to stay within the budget growth cap that we committed to through the MOU, that 3.5% that we talk about quite a bit, but I think it's working, and you're seeing that here, where we're able to get to a balanced budget earlier in the process, and I'm thrilled to see that we're not dipping into the tax mitigation stabilization fund. That was very intentionally set up for this purpose, but obviously if we don't need to use it, as Tom said, it pushes out the need for a potential override. It's certainly, that's not something that we're aggressively seeking, so the more that we can save and stay within those budget controls, I think the better for the community. So great work, thrilled to see this. Yeah, this is exciting. We're not usually here in March, so thrilled to see it.
Julie?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo your comments, both of you, that this balanced budget reflects the constraints that we've been living under with the MOU, the 3.5%. It's difficult sometimes to live within that, but this just showing how we reap benefits from having these constraints in place. So I'm very pleased, and I think back on years when I was on the advisory committee, and they were really tough years, and before the override, and just happy to be here in this position and not talking about an override, and not having to use any other overlay or mitigation funds to get us over the finish line. So I'm happy about that, very happy. Thank you.
Bill, can I just add one thing I
Sure,
forgot to
yeah.
mention? You guys both just reminded me a couple of things. I really want to thank the department heads. Liz, you mentioned this. They did a fantastic job, both of putting forward what they felt would help them do their job as well as the town expects it. But they also understood our budget constraints that we're under with the 3.5% growth rate constraint, and they found creative ways, all of them, to live within their means. So it just underscores the degree to which that MOU, what we call the MOU, the 2024 to 2028 Financial Management Plan, was thoughtful, it was thorough, it was appropriate. It is a good idea for local municipal government to have spending caps. That's what I think we've proven over the last 4 years. And it works well. A couple of years, we had to make some tough cuts. We had to make some tough decisions to do that. I think that's okay. We all do that in our personal lives. It's okay for government to have to do that as well. So thrilled with the MOU and the way it worked, and I look forward to hopefully negotiating a new MOU if necessary, and then continuing this type of conservative budgeting practices going forward. I think it's good and healthy for the town.
Yeah, that number is a tough number, and you mentioned the department, the school department as well, had to make some tough choices over the years, and to get there, and it's shown with this budget balance and with $11 million excess unassigned fund balance above the 20%. So, any members of the public have any questions or comments?
See none.
Seeing none? Okay, all right, no vote required there. We'll move on to agenda item 7, which is the financial discussion of future capital projects. So I guess I'm just going to open it up a little bit, Tom, and I'll turn it over to you. But yeah, so the last couple of weeks, this is our third meeting in a row talking about capital projects, and the Capital Outlay Committee came in 2 weeks ago, presented some information. Then they came in last week, and I thought we had a good discussion, better discussion. We talked about what was in their recommended article. They have within the tax levy, or I kind of call it their budget, but they've got, I think, about 3.6 million in there, and they came in and explained to us in good detail what they are asking for us to support an article for the 3.6 million. And then we had a further discussion of capital needs over and above the 3.6 so we could fund with excess unassigned fund balance, and we looked at that through the lens of what we have available and what works, and I think the three of us reached agreement on putting forth those articles last week, which was a good discussion. But I wanted to take it one step further, and I wanted to discuss future capital Now, I don't want to call last week's discussion little capital, and then this discussion big capital, but this discussion today would be, okay, what do we see for borrowing in the future? Like what the three of us, what's our plan for capital needs we will need to borrow for? Like, so the bigger capital items that would actually involve borrowing and impact people's tax bills. Like I said last week, is little capitals. That was kind of things we can do with fund balance and within the capital outlay budget. So, Tom, what I'd like you to do is walk us through, where we're going to be, what articles we're going to have to consider putting forth within the next 3 years and maybe 4 years, 5 years out in terms of what people can expect going forward. Because ultimately, the decision to put these items forward through an article on a warrant is this board's. So this is the only board that can actually put forth an article that would require the town to borrow or have a special town meeting if we needed to. But that decision rests solely with us. Obviously, the advisory committee opines and does a great job working through these issues with us as our partners. But the select board is really the article that puts these issues forward. So wanted to talk about where we are with this as a board and see where we are with our priorities. So, all right, with that, Tom, I'll turn it over to you, and you can give us some recommendations on what we're looking at going forward.
Okay, great. Art is going to bring up a slide for me, future capital project slide. We've split it into two categories, short and longer term. And really, this is the only slide we have. I'll speak to all of the items in here. So in the short term, again, this is, and Bill said this well, this is above and beyond the annual capital budget that the Capital Outlay Committee allocates funds to. On an annualized basis. Those are smaller items, over $15,000 in size, and they tend to be the departmental needs, the vehicles, or the repair to an item at the transfer station, that type of thing that they're funding through that budget. These are, like Bill said, we don't really want to characterize large, and although I think Mike on Capital Outlay refers to as T-shirt sizing, small, medium, large. Sometimes you got to kind of put these things in mental buckets at least, so you can, get a sense of what we need to do. So anyway, in the short term, like Bill said, next 1 to 3 years, there are a couple of projects that have been identified. The first is and I'm going to go a little bit out of order, the Inner Harbor Resiliency. I just note this on here. That's about a $5 or so million project that's already been authorized, way back in, I think, 24 maybe even. And we just haven't borrowed that yet. As JR works through the permitting process with the town, with the state, that money is intended for design work, and that hasn't occurred yet, the borrowing, because we're still in permitting. So authorized a couple of years ago, that won't come back to the voters again. That money will be borrowed here in a couple of years. And by the way, I'm speaking today solely on tax levy money, all right? So the other three projects that are before us, one is the HCAL, the Hingham Center for Active Living project. That's a proposal being brought before town meeting this year. About $29.9 million as of now. That will be considered at ATM 2026. The Plymouth River and South School roof will, the town share of that, so net the MSBA component, the town share of that would be about $9 million, and that would likely be borrowed in FY27. The high school roof and the HVAC, for which the town will have an approximate share of about $28 million. That's likely borrowing in FY28. And those are the short term. So those two projects, right? The school roofs, as we've been thinking of them together, Plymouth River and South at $9 million, and high school at $28 million will come after this town meeting here in April. And in April, all we're going to see for borrowing is $29.9 million for the HCAL discussion. Beyond that, we have a couple of projects that are in the 3 to 5 year window. One is a potential dredging project. I've sized this in the 2 to 10 range, and the reason I say that is we have historically had a $10 million number on this, but we had that on the dredging project as a number the last time, and because we were able to queue up the dredging equipment and time it with a Weymouth-based project, they were already on site, and we were able to get the work done at significantly reduced costs. And then, on top of that, we got a $2 million grant from the state to pay for it. So, instead of a $10 million high estimate, I'm scaling this to a $2 to $10 million estimate. Somewhere in there is where it will likely fall. And again, this is a flexible date. We don't know when we would do it. I would recommend we move forward when we can find ways to schedule and take advantage of coordinated efforts with our municipal neighbors. And then, of course, with grant funding opportunities. And then the second is the wharf walls. Phase one of the wharf wall work that would be designed through the earlier discussion on the Inner Harbor Resiliency discussion. These wharf walls are projected right now at about $22 million. That would likely take place in FY31, so 5 or so years from now. That also, in my mind, would be in large part grant dependent. A lot of grant money available for resiliency type projects, both at the federal and state level. And I would think that would continue, and we would seek out grants. If it's a poor year for grants in FY31, maybe we would do it in FY32. So we don't know yet. We don't know what the year would be. We don't know what the grant picture is going to look like, and we'll take advantage of all the abilities we have to offset local costs to all of these types of projects. So those are the short and long-term projects as I see them. I note a couple of things. One is that the town will continue to strategically borrow and invest retained earnings in all self-supporting enterprise fund capital projects for the Weir River Water System, the Hingham Sewer Department, the South Shore Country Club, and the Hingham Municipal Light Plant. They've all got projects, and all of those projects are not supported through the tax levy. They're all supported through the ratepayers. I would note that that from the tax levy perspective, there are no other substantial projects contemplated in the foreseeable future as I know it. There's been a discussion on other projects that frankly are not in my projected project list. So people talking about them doesn't make them real. I would note that, as Bill said, this is the board that would put projects forward, and only this board. So as I see it, there are no other substantial projects in the foreseeable future beyond what I've discussed. If these projects were funded, the ones I spoke about tonight, including the self-supporting projects, by the way, the town would still have approximately $100 million in debt capacity per the town's financial policy. We would actually have approximately double that amount in debt capacity if the town adhered only to the state statute. But we don't. We follow our more conservative local policy, and for that, but we would still have more than enough debt capacity to comfortably complete the projects that need to be done to maintain our local infrastructure. And the last thing I'd say is that it's important to note that some debt service expenses will actually roll off the debt schedule during that 5-year window. So as we incur new debt, old debt rolls off. I'm not saying that's a 1-to-1 ratio, but there will be debt rolling off. So I think that, this is, again, a very healthy outlook. Like Bill, like you said at the beginning, we have a financial policy that maintains our fund balance at a minimum of 16 to 20% of total annual expenditures. Above the high end of that at 20%. This year, we started with about $11.3 million above that number, so we call that our excess fund balance. We had $11.3 million in excess fund balance at the beginning of this year. We're spending a bunch of that money, or proposing to spend a bunch of that money on a number of related projects that will spend down that number. But as we look at next year's reality, that number is going to come right back up because we're going to have turnbacks and we're going to sell a couple of properties. And there's a number of realities that are going to result in bringing that excess fund balance number back up, including investment income and such, that will result in our projections of that number being back up above 8 million, perhaps as high as 10, back to almost where it started at 11 this year. So, I think we're in, as I said a minute ago, we're in very good shape operationally. I think we're in very good shape from a capital perspective. Yes, we're spending some money, but I think the town needs to invest in its infrastructure. The rating agencies want towns and municipal governments to invest in their infrastructure. That's what we're doing. We're doing it within our financial policies. AdCom has been a great partner in ensuring that and walking everybody through that at detail level. And I think we got a good process in this town. And we're in a very healthy financial situation. So that would be my summary.
Great. I have a couple questions and some comments. Can you speak to what's rolling off and when? I think that's an important, people need to know that. Are you able to do that tonight?
I don't know offhand, but I know, like, for instance, LSA rolls off in a couple of years, but.
Yeah, we can maybe do that next week, too. But I think it's important for people to know that there are costs rolling off with respect to that, and that's a good, understand the context, too, because as we might put more on, things roll off, right?
I would
So,
estimate
probably like
3
LS.
million or so over the next.
Yeah. Julie, do you know, I know you follow that stuff pretty closely on AdCom.
I have.
No, but I would defer to Katie. I mean, I keep an eye on it because it does roll, that does roll off, and there's a wonderful schedule that's.
I can speak to it. So the debt service roll-off for excluded and non-excluded debt for the first 5 years is 3.2 million, and then for the 10-year period, it is $4.7 million of debt roll-off. So again, not one for one, but there are some significant projects that are coming to a conclusion in that excluded and non-excluded debt. There's obviously larger numbers when you look at the total debt service, but that includes the self-supporting enterprise funds. So I'm just focusing on those two categories.
Excellent. Just to, I know the answer to this one, Tom, for people watching at home, discuss the authorized but unissued. What does that mean?
Sure. So at town meetings prior, the town was presented with an article to authorize a debt for a purpose. That authorization was received at that town meeting, and we just haven't got to the point yet where we need to actually trigger the borrowing, which we wouldn't do until we needed the money. So in this case, for instance, the authorized but unissued debt for the inner harbor resiliency work, we had to finish the permitting work before we were going to borrow to start the design. So no sense borrowing the money and paying interest rate on it before you can even use it. So we're holding off. We'll do the borrowing. The authorization stays, so we can do the borrowing when we're ready. And I'll also note that we've reaffirmed for the umpteenth year in a row. I should know that number. It's impressive. Our AAA rating this past year, I think we talked about that in one of these meetings, and we're getting unprecedented amounts of market access, and as a result, unbelievable interest rates. So, maintaining our AAA is always paramount for those reasons, Bill.
And for the enterprise funds, Weir River, Sewer, Social Country Club, they have their own capital funds within their budget, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's important for people to know that too.
Yep.
That those are their capital is paid for within the enterprise fund itself. On the longer term, just because I've been looking at this and following it, the harbor project was $2 million last time around, and that was paid for solely through a grant, correct?
That's right.
So why do you think it could be closer to 10? Did it go up that
It
much?
could be inflation. Last
Okay.
time, when we spoke with Ken, it could have been up to 10 last time as well, is what he feared. We were anticipating somewhere in the 5 to 10 range, but then again, all the equipment was pre-staged in Weymouth that we simply floated it, a number of feet over into our harbor, and we didn't have to engage a company. They were already there, so they just stayed a few extra days and did the work, and then we got the grant to fund the project. So it just really worked out well last time. Ken is excellent at organizing those things. He has contacts with all of these companies that would potentially win this procurement for us, and could work with the state to coordinate those efforts with the grant fund, the grant rounds, and our municipal neighbors to try to keep all of our collective costs down.
And on the wharf wall, you have that here in longer term up there.
Yep.
And so I spoke with JR about that. He thinks the first wall would be needed in about 4 or 5 years. We've also started a discussion with Congressman Lynch's office about federal funding. They recognize we're a coastal community, as his district is a coastal community, and a wharf wall federal funding for War Falls is not a Hingham thing, it's an entire South Shore thing. So they've helped other communities with it, and they feel good about maybe helping us when the time comes. So
We
that will help
actually
through
just
federal
got
funds.
$250,000 for those purposes a few weeks ago. It'll work towards the initial design and all that kind of effort, but to your point, Bill, there is money available at both the state and federal money, at federal levels for resiliency projects.
Great. All right. So let me stop there and turn to Liz, see if you have any questions or
Excellent.
comments.
Thank you. I think this is really helpful context for people, and we should keep this conversation going. I think it's top of mind for a lot of citizens. Just a couple of clarifying questions. The Inner Harbor Resiliency 3A, 5 million, that's authorization pending. What is that?
That will trigger the design work that we're finishing the permitting for now.
Okay, so there's,
Borrowed, or authorized back in '24, not yet borrowed, waiting for permitting to finish.
so is there 5 million pending and then 6 million unissued?
No, so 5 million, the total authorization was 5 million, and we just haven't borrowed it yet.
Okay, so it shouldn't be on the top, it shouldn't be under authorization pending?
Yeah, it's a due.
Oh, that's right, yeah, that's right, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's good news. That's 5 million less.
Thanks.
That's how I understand it.
It's not a huge number, but just want to
Oh,
understand.
yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
think that's accurate. I'm not, JR was just here, he would have been able to correct me if I was wrong on that, but I believe that all of that has not yet been borrowed.
Yeah, right. That's the one that was authorized in FY '24. I think we just double counted it. Okay. And then the wharf walls, so I know JR is advising us on that and the timeline. Are there dependencies with the 3A project, though, that we should be thinking about? I would hate for that to all get done and then we rip it apart to fortify the walls.
Absolutely. A big part of what JR and Deirdre and Susan Murphy and, Judy Sneath and and Paul Healy, people who have been on that committee forever, and the Bathing Beach trustees and the Harbor Development Committee, they're all working to coordinate all of these efforts, including the Harbor Development Master Plan implementation, and, all of the wharf wall work and the design and the 3A project. That all needs to be coordinated, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously, there will be grant opportunities for that, I'm confident, but it may be before FY '31 then.
So that portion of the work, the wharf wall work, won't happen before 4 to 5 years from now.
Okay.
Their other work will happen
Okay.
along the way, but that portion of the work won't happen before 4 to 5 years.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Julie?
Thank you for the presentation, and it's really important that we consider we have control over spacing out the projects. We don't have anything that is necessarily an emergency, that there's important projects where we have an authorization pending, but having the ability to space out projects and do them in a way that's not all jammed up into 1 year or 2 years is really important to consider, while at the same time we need to address our infrastructure needs, and we're doing that. We're investing capital into our town, into our buildings and our spaces, and so I'm very much in support of that. And I'm continually impressed by our aggressive pursuit of grants at the state and the local, the state and the federal level. So this is really encouraging, and I'm glad that we have staff and team in place to continue to work on these grants. So, thank you.
Representative Lynch's office have been amazing partners along the way.
They've been very helpful, I agree. All right, and any members of the public have any questions or comments? Anybody have their hand up, Katie?
Yes, we have two people that have their hands up, Ness Cornetti and Jen Benham.
All right, let's go to Ness first. Ness, good evening. Name and address, please.
Hi, Ness Cornetti, 17 Ward Street. Thanks for taking my comment. Thank you so much for this presentation and update. There was a capital outlay meeting a couple weeks ago, as you mentioned, and in that meeting there was a schedule that basically showed $97 million worth of capital projects that were going to be coming up. It was very clear on that schedule that some of these items, it showed the funding source of them. For example, capital stabilization, some were coming out of fund balance, and then there were the other funding sources, the enterprise funds. But the one big number was the borrowing. So I appreciate you going through that today. My question, and I apologize if you had mentioned this at the beginning and I just missed it. When you had presented the roofs, is that net of the MSBA possible payback? Because it seems like it's lower than what was on that capital appropriations schedule that capital outlay had presented.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank
So
you.
those numbers, that's a great question. Thank you. So those numbers, Tom, are with the assumption of what percent of MSBA
I
reimbursement?
believe 35
35?
was the assumption?
We assume 30%.
30,
30%.
Exactly.
okay. Which, again,
Appreciate it.
is a conservative estimate.
Thank you, Ness. Good for the question. Let's go to Jen Benham.
Right, on.
She might have had the same question.
There we go, sorry. She's up.
Jen, good evening. Name and address.
Hi, this is Jen Benham, 300 Gardner Street. And yes, I had some of the similar questions, so thank you for answering them. And I just want to echo, I just appreciate this presentation. It goes nicely with Tom, the presentation that you had given to the Sustainable Budget Task Force a few weeks ago. So, together with this one, it highlights the thoughtful planning and the clear timelines that all the departments have put together with all the capital projects. And just, I appreciate the conversations here tonight as well. And then I hope that these slides can be put up on the website for the public to access, because it's really good information to have out there.
Great.
And that's
Can
all.
do.
That'd be great.
Thank
When you
you.
post it, though, make sure you take out the harbor 5
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah, I'll
make
speak
sure-
with JR and clarify that if that's wrong, but I
Yeah,
don't know if it is, but
okay.
I'll clarify it. Yeah.
And then, and I will add to Nessa's question that yes, that is a conservative number for the 30%, and we will hope we'll get closer to the 40%, and that number will go down even more.
Great.
So thanks.
Jen, can I ask you how many districts are getting the 40%? Is that a new trend, or?
I don't know the answer to that, but we have gotten close, in the past projects that we've gotten in the past, we have been closer to the 40%. But given that it is so many towns in the accelerated repair department, that's why they gave such a broad range, but we will hope that we'll get closer to the 40%.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Oh, that's it.
Okay, all right, thank you, Katie, thank you, Tom, appreciate the presentation. All right, next item on the agenda are appointments and/or reappointments. Any appointments this evening?
No, not for me.
All right, move to public comment. Anybody have any public comment? Agenda's not about any item not on the agenda.
Nothing.
Okay, town administrative select board reports. All right, go ahead.
Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Katie?
Nothing for me.
Tom?
I feel like a broken record with this, but thank you to the DPW department. Yesterday was a windy day, a lot of trees down. They've been out, the tree crew's very busy today. If you have a tree down your property, please be patient. They will get to you if it's a town tree. And they're just working it. There's a lot to do. So thank you to them again.
Julie?
Well, to that end, Tom, we had that big windstorm last night and rainstorm, and I just want to thank Hingham Municipal Light Plant, HMLP. Their crews were out there. My power in my area of town went out in the middle of the night. It was 3 o'clock in the morning somehow, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Christine, who took my call at HMLP, who was very wide awake and alert and helpful. And the crews were out there working and got the repair done quickly. Working in very high wind, and it was a very dramatic storm. So anyway, I'm grateful for HMLP. And it's not just luck. There's a lot of hard work and leadership at HMLP that makes it a really well-run organization. So thank you.
Thank you. Agree. Liz?
Yes, agreed. Thank you to HMLP and DPW. They had many trees already cleared before the kids got on the bus this morning, so before 7:30 a.m. So it was a dangerous storm, so appreciate everybody's hard work through the night. Nothing really to report, just want to say happy St. Patrick's Day and just acknowledge that it's the 250th anniversary of Evacuation Day. when the British left Boston. So it's a significant milestone for our Rev 250 year in local history.
I've always thought our legislators need to make today a state holiday, but we'll see. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Have a great
Thank
week. We'll
you.
catch you next week. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the
yes,
select
what-
board meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie,
Aye.
Liz.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. We're adjourned. Have a good week, everybody.